me invite Brian. There's Brian.
We got Brian. We got Clue.
Hello.
Hey.
Hey.
Hello, Andrew, Brian, Hellkrai, Linguistic.
What's going on?
Are you playing the piano, Andrew?
Yeah.
Nice.
I don't know how well it's coming through.
Is it out of tune like the one that's in Alex's mom's house?
No, it's pretty in tune. We have a pretty banger piano, actually. My piano here.
It's so kawaii.
It is kawaii. And then here's
How
my.
is that?
Hello, Tadsy.
Should you have that switch 2 thing there?
Yeah, that's fine. I got some solitaire art hanging up in my office.
Ooh.
Based.
Yeah.
Why can't I see anything?
Got my amiibos hanging up.
Your soy trophies.
My soy trophies. Exactly.
So mean.
Blast.
I will say that unfortunately right now it is back in style to slam dunk on Nintendo fans after that, after the Greed Tendo announcement.
Brian, can you talk?
Yeah, I can talk.
Okay, you seem a little soft. Oh wait, I for some reason I had your voice lowered. You're fine.
Oh, okay, cool.
Brian, you've gone soft. But yeah, thank you for inviting me. Andrew sent me a very nice message that was like, "Hey, you want to hop on?" You said something along the lines like, "You're very well spoken," and I was like, "Hey, that's
I did
very
say
sweet.
that.
Thank you." Yeah, that's very kind. I appreciate it. For those that don't have any context as to who I am, I made a Y2K video back in December, I think, or November. I think it was at the very end of November when IV was like about to come out. I really love this game. It means a lot to me, and I will forever mourn the fact that I missed the boat on the Alex plush.
Well,
But
hopefully,
at least I have the cool vinyl.
yeah. Well, hopefully we'll do another run of the Alex plush. We want to. It's just we have so many things going on at the moment, so many little projects that it's hard to bring it back to market.
Oh,
It takes some
well,
time to like produce it.
If you need, I have an in on both Makeship and U2's. If you want to work with them, I can put in a good word for you.
Well, that's good to know.
Yeah, I'm
Clue
glad you
from
got
the board
cleared,
game.
Because I like well-spoken people, and that's why I got my boys Hellkrai and Botzim up here to help me out.
How we doing? I'm running
So-
push to talk right now because my dog's being a bit of a dumbass.
I resent the fact that you said Botzim and me in the same sentence relative to being well-spoken.
Just a little joke. No, I know. No. I mean, you guys are cool, so.
No, I'm just giving Botzim a hard time.
Okay, I haven't spoken to you in probably 5 months. It's wild.
Hell yeah, how you doing?
I know that we've texted, but voice, I haven't spoken to you in a while, so it's good to hear from you, man. I'm glad you're doing okay.
Yeah, I'm always doing all right. I always find a way.
Hellkrai finds a way. It's my Jeff Golden impression.
So I actually have some
That's a
lore
nice
to drop
impression.
about when as some of you know, I was a beta tester for IV. Andrew invited me back when I was doing my video. I still don't actually know how you found me, Andrew, because you cold dropped into my DMs, and I was like, how do you know me? Why do you? Because that was what started the whole thing. Is that you, Andrew, dropped into my DMs? Why and for what reason?
That's a good question. Let me see if I have. Oh, you know what it was? Somebody said there's a YouTuber in YIIKcord who likes the game. So then I thought, well, if there's somebody who could see the new version of it early, a YouTuber who's interested in the game would probably be a good place to start. I think that's pretty much my thought process.
That feels
Okay.
correct. I don't really remember.
Because what the only thing that I did that would have gleaned that was that I put Y2K a Nameless Psychosis because that was new at the time. I put it in one of my sponsored segments as a demonstration of a game to show, and I think some people here posted screenshots that I did that. I think that's what it
Oh,
was.
yeah.
But I was active in the Discord at the time, so maybe you just saw me posting.
I wish I could tell you. I wish my memory was
That's
good
okay.
enough on this, but
That's okay. It was like half a year ago. I don't blame you. But yeah, regardless,
yeah,
I was a beta tester.
I just dump
and,
info, man.
Yeah, you're good. But yeah, the lore was that I didn't have time to actually play all the way through IV's New Game Plus. At the time, I ran out of time before I had to release my video. So at the time, I'd only seen like I had completed the main like the Alex campaign of IV, and the actual New Game Plus, I ran out of time, so I only saw maybe like a third of it by the time I had to release my video, which thankfully wasn't critical because the actual video was an introduction to the concept, like the bare bones like meta narrative stuff. It was just laying the groundwork for people to be like, hey, like don't take everything this game is saying at face value. Like you need to question what Alex is saying to you and the narrative that he is giving to you. And that was enough of a key that it seemed to actually unlock like understanding the base of the story for a lot of people. I noticed like a bunch of people like in the IV Steam reviews, like when it first dropped, like the first maybe like week that IV came out, a lot of people were like parroting a lot of the same like words that I used and some of the phrases that I used in my video about it. And I was like, oh, I wonder how much of that was like people actually like unlocking an understanding for the narrative through that. I don't want to take a lot of credit for it only because IV does make a lot of the meta narrative stuff more easy to understand. But yeah, I just think it's really interesting.
Well, I think that you guys are called influencers for a reason. So I'm sure it had, a sizable impact. Like the influencer or the essayist, they frame works of art for the viewer. And even if people are not adopting the full position of the influencer, they still are looking at it from the frame that it's first presented to them with. This is why, like, if you come to a work of art because you heard it was controversial, you will see more controversial things in it because you already have that hermeneutic. But like, if somebody presents you a game from the perspective of it having an unreliable narrator and it playing with the idea of meta narrative, you're far more likely to pick up on those things because you've been primed to engage with it that way.
Definitely. I mean, that's the thing is like, I think that one of the biggest reasons that Y2K was originally such a narrative, like the journalistic narrative of Y2K was that it was bad, was because like that snowball just kept rolling and getting bigger because people were going into it with the expectation that it was like the room levels of bad. And so people would like dig up anything to like support that narrative. Because people love to slam dunk on things. I definitely do. Like I fall into that trap sometimes.
I mean, it's the American culture. It's the primary culture we have as Americans.
Oh,
these
absolutely.
Days
well, especially
dunking.
right now, people are so cynical. Like it's exhausting how cynical everyone is right now.
Well, I think it is interesting. I don't want to harp too much on like the initial launch because like it's it really is behind.
No, that wasn't my
us at
plan.
this
Yeah,
point.
of course.
5 years
But
ago.
The only reason I brought it up
crazy
is because you mentioned the narrative thing and about how like
yeah,
people
absolutely,
get in their own head.
totally. But the one thing I will say about it is it did originally start that the game was offensive, and then it shifted to bad. Like the first outrage, like it's one thing to make a game that is bad and not fun, like that happens all the time. That's probably 90% of games, to be honest.
Yeah, totally.
But like the reason it got attention was because it was offensive, and then that was the first. Looking for offense was like the first sort of like major engagement it got, and then it became this game is so bad. Look how much people dunk on this game, and then it morphed over time. So it's interesting to see how the narrative around it can shift pretty quickly. That people don't even remember why they were talking about it in the first place.
Yeah. And but yeah, what I was mentioning about how that I hadn't actually completed IV's New Game Plus, I have now as of maybe a week ago. I just I had to manifest the time to do it, and me and a friend were playing through it, and now I've seen all of it except for New Game Plus. I have not seen that, but I plan to.
Well, I guess I have to ask you, did you like it?
Oh yeah, of course, it was a masterpiece.
Thank you very much.
I don't know if like what exactly you're looking for from me. I don't know what my role is. You're kind of just like, hey, you want to come in and talk for a minute? And I was like, okay. So
I mean, I'm just playing it by ear. I mean, honestly, like we thought it would be fun to sort of do something for YIIK Day. So
yeah, no,
I
it's a
don't
great
really
idea.
have a master plan.
Okay, well,
All
somebody
right,
in the
here
chat
it is.
said, I want to hear the opinions on Y2K2. Thank you for the question, Frankie. I'll keep it short. So my opinions on Y2K2? Are we that far yet? Is that fine? Like, are we still in
Well,
spoiler
yeah,
territory with
yeah.
that, or?
The
I mean,
trailer
yeah,
just
so-
released.
Let me say this in advance. This is going to be like a complete spoiler Q&A. Like the game's been out since December. If
Yeah,
you
it's like
haven't
4 months
beaten
ago.
it yet, right, and you really care, just we're gonna upload this to YouTube or something at some point. So, you know, just like come back to it. You know, now's your chance to leave. I think most people in here have completed it, so I think we'll just expect this to be complete spoiler territory.
This will
Okay,
be a
fair
great watch
Well-
after you finish the game.
Yeah, I mean, someone's asking for a leak about Y2K card. They're asking about how many playable characters are going to be in that.
How do they know about that? Only the beta testers are supposed to know about that. No, I'm kidding. That's
Well,
not a real
actually,
thing.
it
As far as
has
I know.
infinite because we're going to use generative AI. We're going to train it.
great.
No, that's gonna age bad. You should know better than
that's a-
saying stuff like that, because people are gonna be like,
No.
"Y2K3 confirmed to use generative AI."
If you believe that, the joke was on you.
Yeah, you're the joke.
Exactly. Yeah.
We gotta have some standards for people believing really stupid things.
All right, just to clarify, we will not be vibe coding YIIKcord.
Yeah, it's not happening. And
So,
also,
something that-
we will
oh, go
not
ahead.
be using generative AI in our games. Don't worry.
Something that I wanted to mention to you, Andrew, was that this is a conversation that you and I had probably like 5 months ago. But I was like, the meme was to pronounce the game like either YIIK or YIIK. In my brain, it will always be YIIK because the Nintendo Wii taught me that two I's together are pronounced like weak. However, in the game, you have made it canon the weirder pronunciation of it because
Yes,
because Michael
Right
says
one.
YIIK in the game.
The right
Yeah,
one.
sure.
Everyone in chat, type which one you like better.
Yeah, if
Oh,
you
we should have
say,
a poll for that.
Fucking YIIK.
oh yeah, do a poll. Yeah.
Yeah, but I guess it
Oh,
doesn't really.
oh yeah, let me do that. Hold
What
on.
would
Start that poll, please.
what would Alex have said though?
What would Alex have
Whatever
said? That's a good
minority
question.
opinion, we'll make it what Alex would have said.
Yeah.
Of the
Alex
minority
would
opinion.
be the contrarian. He would call it Y2K and then direct everyone to the Steam page. Look, this is how you're supposed to pronounce it. It's the correct way to say it. Okay. He would be like a
Yeah.
huge nerd about it, and like he would like have the Steam banner downloaded that phrases it phonetically how to pronounce it.
He would explain what Roman numerals are.
He would have it on his phone saved and then send it to people whenever they pronounce it wrong. Like, yeah, no, this is how it's supposed to be said. Wow, it's actually 50-50 in the chat.
What the
Amazing.
fuck, man?
Oh, hey.
Wow. Impressive.
But I remember that I asked you, Andrew, why it was pronounced like that, and you told me that story about when you was it a press conference or what was it where somebody said they thought it was German. I'll leave you to tell that story.
Oh yeah, this was at PAX West, I think, and somebody was interviewing us about the game, and they said YIIK, and they said and your studio is based in Germany, right? And I just I paused. And I'm like, why do you think it's based in Germany? And then he thought that YIIK was a German word or something. I don't know. I was really surprised when this happened. I would have.
Ack is actually an
I don't know anything about German, but I feel like it wouldn't have a word like that. But
Yeah, I don't know. It's funny when people sort of will just make an assumption like that.
I like it.
I mean,
Yeah.
it wasn't like I have an accent. I still don't.
You could get
Not
one.
the first time I've been
It's not
mistaken.
too late for you.
No.
Definitely look the part of a German.
Well, when Brian and I went to Tokyo Game Show, we flew on Lufthansa, and they were speaking to Brian in German and me in English, So they assumed Brian was the German and not me.
So they looked at Brian and they were like, "Well, you look vaguely ethnic. What are you, German?"
I think on the way back they spoke to me in German and Brian in Polish.
Funny.
It was a funny
Yeah, there was
funny encounter.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did. It's so funny because like I'm so interested in so much like esoteric media, and Y2K absolutely falls into that camp. So it's very much like in character for me to like just reference Y2K just in earnest. People are like, "Is that?" And I'll always be surprised when somebody gets it. Like always, I'll be streaming or something, and I'll say like an Alex line or something. People are like, "Did you? Is that a Y2K reference?" Equally, it would be like in the camp of like Homestar Runner as like something that's like pretty recognizable, but like still kind of esoteric, and it's not like super like it doesn't have like a wide range of people that get it.
The micro niche internet thing.
Yeah, definitely.
Popularity
Yeah,
does seem to be creeping up.
So, BotZim, can you explain to the audience about how to ask a question?
All right. So, what's it called? We have Andrew, we got Ryan, and basically there's going to be two forms for asking a question. Either you can send a request through raising your hand, or alternatively, you can ping me in the Q&A chat thing on the side, and then I will bring that up to either Andrew or Brian.
Yeah, and you're gonna want like Zim to read it out because he's really good at reading stuff out.
I'm amazing at it, bro. I'm telling you.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, well, yeah. If you raise your hand, you're basically like coming onto the stage and talking with your voice. So, actually, we have one right now.
Oh, cool.
Who's joining
Yeah,
us?
game fan.
You ready
Let's,
for
get 'em
your
up real
first
quick.
question from Game Fan? All right.
I cannot
Yeah.
believe
Good.
I got first. I generally thought I would be like, if somebody would do it first. As the representation of people who are brain sick about third ending, are we allowed to ask that type of question?
I mean, you're allowed to, and we're not going to answer anything about it.
You can ask, but whether or not you'll
Well,
get something back is up in the
esoteric
air. Chad. Somebody calling you a Chad for asking the question.
Yeah, I am. I am the biggest Chad. I rate
You're the buff Alex YIIK.
Yeah, I am
Give me a-
curious as to
wait,
what you're
give
gonna
me a second.
ask.
Yeah,
Yeah, sure. I'll mute
Bro,
you for a
bro,
second.
mute. Bro, mute.
What an icon.
Okay, I'm back. We'll.
Yep.
Okay, here's my question
is
before I have to
great.
take out the trash because I live with my parents. Answer esoteric.
You call your mom
Average
Cheryl?
YIIK fan.
Crazy.
If there was an indicator for the third ending in game,
Game fan, I'll unmute you when you tell me to in the chat. I'm just saying.
Okay, what is the indicator? Like, what would you notice first
is
if you
great.
suddenly were on the path by accident?
The pattern in the chaos. And that's all I'll say.
You murder me.
Frail Dog's talking to me in chat right now.
Am I allowed to ask a question to Andrew YIIK?
Oh,
Yeah,
I
you
only
want
have them muted. Sorry, guys. Server mute.
Go
I'm an
for it.
idiot.
What's your
So
question?
the thing
Tim?
is that I haven't recorded, so I can fix that.
He's already done asking his question. Because
Oh, really?
you completely
That's
missed
great.
it.
Yeah, it was funny.
Okay. Damn, I'm an idiot. Jesus, I'm fumbling the fuck out of this.
It's okay.
Relax,
You
man.
just
It's all
sound
good.
drunk.
That's all right.
Should I leave now or?
I'm gonna kick you out.
You have to
Well,
delete the friend.
If you have a
What's
second
the
question, go for it.
answer?
Uninstall your Discord client. And that's how you put your hand back down.
I'll boot you
Well-
off now.
All right, yeah.
There he goes.
All
This
right.
is fucking great. I'm having a good
Okay, so
time.
I have a couple
guys
of
ready
interesting
for the,
questions that I
next
think the audience
question?
will appreciate.
Okay,
If you
cool.
don't mind if I
What you
squeeze
got?
one in.
Yeah, do it.
So,
Yeah.
why do we live? Why do we suffer? Why do we die?
Oh boy, I mean it's such a it's a really complicated thing to just throw at me. I think. Okay, well I'm gonna give the answer that will bother the most people, which is for the glory of God. And what that means, you'll have to figure out for yourself.
Alex is probably like a Reddit atheist. He doesn't even know what that is.
No, he'll have no idea what I'm talking about.
He doesn't.
There are ways that you can view the beauty of living and dying and suffering. And when you are experiencing the highs of life, the lows like suffering and death seem really far from you. But the point is to synthesize all three and to actually find how life points at death and death points out life and suffering points out life and death. And if you don't answer that question ever, you suffer death and suffering worse than you have to.
That's a good answer, I think. Additionally, so I know the answer to this question, but I think that if this is going to be publicized somewhere, I think this should go out because I think it's a really wholesome interaction. But in all over Y2K, I think in 1.25 as well, but mainly in IV, Frail Dog is everywhere. Frail Dog's in How to Vex Your Enemies. Frail Dog's in the tips. Frail Dog's at the end of the game. What is significant about Frail Dog?
He's my homie. I like Frail Dog.
Guy.
I think he's a cool guy. Frail Dog believed in me when a lot of other people didn't believe in me. So I got to get my Frail Dog representation in my art.
Shout outs.
There was also another really nice interaction that I asked you about in DMs, which was like, I didn't know who Chad and Vincenzo, is that how you say it? Chad and Vincenzo were. And tell the audience about them because I think they're really interesting because they're a fight in the game in IV.
Yeah, so that's they're a Dick and Vito online. They're the hosts of The Biggest Problem in the Universe, and they were two guys who were cool to us when basically we were public enemy number one, and getting encouragement from people when things were that bad went a long way to get us to the success of IV and the positive reception of IV. So as a sort of like nod to the people who were so cool to us, we put them in the game as a fight.
Right, and even if you don't like them, it's a fight. So
yeah, if you hate them, you
just
go beat
kill
them.
Yeah.
All right. Are you ready for a question from Harley, who I have
go for
super
it.
muted?
I'm unmuted now.
Hello. So this has been on my mind pretty much since IV dropped. If you don't mind me asking, what is Axe Studios working on next? Or in general, not specifically projects, just
You could just say like a new game.
Well, I want to say a little bit more than that without being too. So like, we're not going to show our new game probably until next year, but we're pretty far into development on it. We're making a game in Unreal. We're trying to make something that has just as rich of a story as Y2K while moving away from the genre that Y2K is in. We're trying to make something that has a lot of, an original vision, something that is not like in an obvious existing genre, something that feels fresh. So I can say what I can say about it is Brian has created his best art style yet. I'm so proud of the visuals he's created for it. We're doing the music with a live orchestra. So like we recorded like 70 plus musicians all together for like the opening theme, and it's a much bigger production. Yeah, compared to Y2K, it's like a much more what's the word I'm looking for? Like the quality is higher, but there's a word for it. The production value is higher. That's the word I was searching for. So I think that's all I can really say about it for now. Brian, do you have anything you want to say?
Just that the music is good. I do agree that the visuals look good. I'm happy with how they're coming out. And I can't wait for everyone to see it.
All right, very nice. And then just one more quick question, kind of building on that. aside from your upcoming game project you guys are working on, is there anything smaller you guys are working on the side aside from just development?
Yeah, so we are working on Nameless Child plush. That's something that's been sort of moving
Ooh.
slowly. We're working on the physical version of IV, so that's going to be coming before you know it.
Is that still going through
And
limited run?
yeah, it's still through limited run.
That's awesome. Limited
And
run is local to me, so I can walk into a store and buy Y2K.
Wow.
that's awesome.
That's
That's
insane.
great. And there also is Deviation Perspective 2. I'm finishing up writing that. I have probably like another 45 pages left to write, and then we're
Oh,
going to do
yes.
artwork for it and put it out in like a physical book. So like those are like the last few Y2K related things that we're probably going to do for a little bit. I guess I can say this. We are also working on a dark game card game with physical cards. So
Ooh.
that's playable. I don't want to say too much about it yet, but it is something we're working on. We're not sure how it's going to be released or what the deal with it is yet, but it is something that we are doing.
Very nice.
All
Thank
right.
you.
See you around, Harley.
All right. Have a
See you
good one.
later.
You too.
That's an awesome question.
I remember
Alright.
that when before IV came out, but after 1.25, I listened through Deviation Perspective and read the book obsessively. I just loved the soundtrack, and it was so wild when I was playing through IV for the first time, and I was like, oh my god, there's like a bunch of Deviation Perspective songs just in the game now. This is crazy.
Yeah, Deviation Perspective was pretty much where most of IV came from. Because like I had the idea for the story. I think it was like New Year's I had the idea. And I wrote like feverishly overnight, and I got like half of it done. And I sent it to Brian, and I was like, what do you think about like making some art for each one of these stories? And that was about like the same time that the
Ooh.
idea of like the new Golden Alpaca scene happened for 1.25. So like the Golden Alpaca, Kasagi X, all of that sort of came together through the Deviation Perspective story. And
Drazos
then
just
that led
mentioned
to
in the
the
chat.
idea of IV.
Oh, excuse me. Sorry.
All right.
No, you're good.
Are you ready for another question, Andrew?
Clue, did you get your last thought out there?
No, I was just going to say Drazos in the chat said physical Karta would be sick. And I have to agree. If you guys somehow manage to make like proper, like a deck of cards with like just every Karta on them, that would kick so much ass.
Yeah, so like that's what the physical dark game is. You play with the Carta, and it would have all the Carta in the game in a deck. So
You're saying this is a
that's
thing? Did I miss it?
yeah, this is one of the things we're working on.
Oh, this is going to
So,
be in the limited run release.
No, it's not related to that. It's so oh man, I don't know how to say his name. Merlandes is the game designer, and he put together an awesome pitch for a physical dark game, and he presented it to us, and we have the idea of doing it, and he had designed something that was just awesome already. So we're working with him to do it. It's still not like finalized in terms of how we're producing it or anything, so it's a little
Sweet.
early on, but the gameplay is actually in a really good place.
That is fantastic. That is really good to hear. I would love to grab a dark game. That is so cool. I feel silly being like the one person up here that's just like a huge fan. Like I'm equally a fan and also YIIK build.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, no complaint from
Okay.
me.
Botzim, let's go to the next question.
All right, I have a text question from Discord user Alpha Pizza Dog. So he says, or they say, doubt their physical soul, parallel souls or anything, but does Essentia have a connection to Michael, seeing as Essentia is a digital soul vessel, a creation of Kasage X, just as Onism 1999 is a creation of Michael?
Okay, well, first thing I would want to say that even though Kasagi X is the one who conceived of the digital soul vessel as a plot to his movie, he is not the one who created the Essentia. So that's like the idea is stolen from the movie. Like so the idea is like Yuzu is doing military advising on a Kasagi X movie, and he hears this plot point, and he brings it back to somebody he knows in his military industrial complex underground evil organization. And she takes the idea from the Kasagi X movie to create the Essentia body. So like Kasagi X inadvertently inspires it, but he's actually just making fiction. So it's sort of like the Michael, his relationship to the Essentia is that what he's trying to do by connecting, various parallel versions of people across the internet through onism is a similar desire to what the Essentia wants, to sort of experience all of her parallel lives. So he creates a digital version of the same original sin that she's participating in through her actions. So it's like they both stumble on the same fundamental error. So like that's how their two stories relate.
All right. It's cool. It's kind of hard for me to respond to because it's not really my question, but
Neat.
Yeah. Well, actually, about that BotZim, this guy General Chungus has asked, "Has BotZim played IV yet?" I guess it's a question for
Bro.
you.
Ooh, that's a
Could
good
you answer that one?
Okay. I have.
Wait, no, BotZim has played IV. BotZim he's beaten enough of IV to say he's played the game.
I finished base game and I've gotten through chapter 1 of 2. So like
As a
I
as
just,
someone
I
who
just
gives
still
money
giving
to
him a hard
foreign
time.
government,
still need to play through it, but like I still need to like fully beat it, but I have like put enough time into it, I'd say.
Awesome, dude. Mr. Tenda just requested to speak. Let's get Mr. Tenda. That'd be awesome.
All right,
Let's
get
do
him
it.
in.
Mr. Tender.
What's good, guys? How's it
Hey.
going?
Hey,
Nintendo.
Hey,
stranger.
So congratulations on April 4th. Congratulations on the trailer. And I'll
thanks.
just go ahead. I'll go ahead and ask my question. My question is, let's get a little deep into the IV lore here. So
Yes, please.
it seems like Alex, right? Alex is trying to modify the world he's in, right? But then,
Yeah.
let's think about Michael. Michael, as someone who's trapped in this world that Alex has then created, it seems like he's trying to do actually a similar thing that Alex is. So Alex is rebelling against the people above him, but then Michael is rebelling against Alex. So if I have that right, what is it about that Michael's attempt to do this somehow results in something good happening at the end, but Alex's attempt to do this just by himself, it doesn't result in something good happening at the end?
Okay, so it's a network of suffering that's created, and it's only when the two become clearly connected that they can be resolved. So whereas Alex's suffering seems entirely independent of Michael's at first, it's not until the connection is properly made that Michael is the creator of onism, that he participates in Alex's failure, and that he enables Alex's desire to rebel against his creators by instilling that desire in him, that anything can be done to fix both of them. So it's almost like they're in it together. So in order for it to be solved, it has to be solved at the same time. That's how it becomes untwisted.
I see. So basically, through their conflict, actually, they're somehow coming together.
Yeah, so it's like the conflict is ultimately used for both of their good. So it's like in Alex's desire to destroy reality, it leads to Michael desiring to destroy Alex. And those things can only be resolved at the same time because it's the back and forth of repeating a cycle that makes it impossible for there to be any change.
So is conflict the solution then? Is that what I'm getting out of this?
No. A conflict is not the solution. I mean, ultimately, it's about forgiveness on multiple levels. It's the forgiveness of reality. It's the forgiveness of your enemy. It's the willingness to accept forgiveness. So like, there's one thing I'll say is like, I often see people talk about how like the game is about how you need to forgive yourself, but actually that doesn't happen in the game. Alex receives forgiveness. He doesn't forgive himself because he can't. He's stuck in this sort of cycle of self-hatred. It has to come from outside of him because he's unable to pardon himself because the crimes are greater than just things done to himself. He doesn't have the authority to let himself off the hook. He doesn't know that there is a space for him to return to. So the gift of forgiveness allows him to imagine a world where he is not in that repeating cycle.
I
I
also
see.
want to say that I think it's interesting that I don't think Alex ever really forgives anyone either.
No, that's not something that's directly stated in the game. No, like that's sort of outside of the narrative. Like there's ways you could imagine that, happening in the story. You can see the subtext for it, but ultimately it is a story about both Michael and Alex receiving forgiveness as the solution to the sort of the cycle that they're in, the thing that turns the circle into a spiral.
Who are they receiving forgiveness from?
Well, it's through the idea of the holy thief, this thing that steals your despair and reorients it into something meaningful, something that takes a lack of meaning and surprises you with joy. So it's that act that they're receiving forgiveness from.
Right. And one of the things that I think is so fun about the narrative of Y2K is it also works on multiple different layers. Like, not only is it this literal thing within the plot, but functionally as a game, they're receiving forgiveness from the player.
Because it inserts
the
the player
player
into the world.
Yeah, exactly. Well, the player takes on the role of the benevolent psychosis, the thing that enters into the closed system and then manipulates it.
Because the idea that like Alex is in his story pining for like understanding. He's pining to be relatable. That's what he craves so deeply, is to just be understood. And the fact that like the player manifests into that world to be the deliverer of the forgiveness, it also tracks. Like that lines up.
I also want to put out this one comment I just saw. Is like, God, even without a script, Hellkrai explains like it's nothing. My video, the way I write my videos, I actually just use a speak to text, so and it's all off the cuff.
Okay, that's so funny you mentioned that, Hellkrai. When I was studying, I was like nose to book studying Y2K for like I don't know, probably 6 months, I think. I would listen to your like 8-hour rambling live streams of analyzing stuff on like 2 times speed and like take notes. And that was like one of and that was before I had contact with Andrew. I didn't know that Andrew was friendly towards DMs at the time, and so I was talking to you because I knew you were. And that was like one of my major resources for like studying this piece of work. So that is so funny. That is very true.
Yeah, I do just kind of speak that way when I'm not stumbling over my words right there. Anyways, Botsum, how many questions do you have?
Okay, so I have about like 6 written ones, like 5 written ones right now that I have down in my little notepad thing. And I have 15 people who wants to request to go into VC.
I want to hear from
Well,
Jackie.
yeah, I was about to say that we should try to balance it so we kind of go back and forth between it a little bit.
Yeah. So we'll alternate voice text.
Basically, yeah.
Yeah.
That's kind of what
I'm getting Jackie
I just
on
didn't
right
know
now.
if there was like a whole lot of text questions.
Oh, hey, hi.
Hey,
I'm Jackie.
Welcome, Jackie.
Thank you. Okay. My first question, 1 out of 2. You can see by my picture that I really like Sam Lake as well. You guys do. So, did some of Sam Lake's works influenced YIIK in a way? Like, Alan Wake, I noticed a lot of similarities, references about YIIK and Alan Wake in a specific. And this is about the beta when it was all that cartoonish style. I noticed that some of the models kind of have, it reminds me of some of Scott Pilgrim's design. Was this some sort of inspiration for the classic version back in the day?
I gotta
I'll
say, I
take
love
the
these
first.
questions because it
Thank you.
perfectly distributes between Andrew and Brian.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just about to say. So I'll take the first question, and then Brian will take the second one. I didn't play Alan Wake until after Y2K came out. I played it when they ported it to Switch, and I really liked it. I thought it was really, really good. And then I played Control shortly before IV, and I loved Control. And then I went and played, I played Quantum Break, and I sort of did like a tour of Sam Lake's work back to back. But so it wasn't an influence on 1.0. I mean, I think Control definitely influenced IV in some way because it was something that I really liked a lot.
Oh, I see.
But in terms of because Alan Wake is like this he's this shitty writer who monologues the entire time, kind of like Alex. I mean, Alex isn't a writer, but he has that
This
sort of
is
role.
why that's why I tough. So
Yeah, and it is like definitely a big overlap, especially because a lot of people who play Alan Wake don't kind of get the joke that he's supposed to be a bad writer. A lot of people don't get the joke that Alex is supposed to be this like sort of pretentious hipster who's speaking as if he's writing Murakami fan fiction. So like Alan Wake is to like Stephen King or Dean Koontz as Y2K is to Murakami. And I think that if you are imagining a sort of pretentious guy who thinks about his life like a story, you're gonna have some overlap and you're gonna have similar ideas. But yeah, I love Alan Wake. Alan Wake is great, especially Alan Wake 2.
yeah, I noticed that it's funny, the coincidence that the poet and the muse from Alan Wake also tells the story of the game in the entire song, just like the crow and the machine from YIIK.
Yeah, that is interesting. I didn't even put that one together.
They tell the story of the game and they are named like the something and the something, the crow and the machine, the poet and the muse. This is why
Yeah,
I
very
thought that
interesting.
YIIK had some influences from Alan Wake.
I
Interesting
think
to
that we
know.
both just know the same muse, if I'm being honest.
Yeah.
Before we
Oh,
go
well,
into Brian, I
yeah.
wanted to mention that Andrew, you got to meet Sam Lake at the New York Game Awards 2025 for the nomination of Starstruck, a game both you and Brian worked on, right?
Yeah, it was super cool. He was a very friendly guy who was very gracious with his time and was very easy to talk to. Very nice man.
An amazing person. He's one of my favorite game directors.
That's a good photo.
Yeah, we have a photo in
The picture is awesome.
that pic
Oh, yeah.
in the chat.
So,
Yeah.
Brian, do you want to take the question about Scott Pilgrim?
Yeah. It's not that Scott Pilgrim wasn't an influence. I think of any of Brian Lee O'Malley's work, I think Lost at Sea
Oh,
probably had more of an influence on Y2K. The other influences were probably Mega Man Legends, of course, and the original Alone in the Dark.
the
games.
1994 one, 1993. I don't know.
I also think that the book Seconds also had a bit more influence on Y2K than Scott Pilgrim did, which is another Brian Lee O'Malley book.
Yeah, I was gonna actually say that
Oh,
as well.
Brian, when you say Mega Man Legends, do you mean like just on aesthetic level or like other elements?
Mainly an aesthetic level. just it's not the same texturing technique, but it's a similar end result where there isn't a lot of shading brought in by lighting, but it's rather like on the model itself.
Yeah, someone else was asking about it, so that's like 2 questions in one.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, I got a question from Pookie actually. Do you want me to read out the full question or?
Yeah, read it.
All
Yeah,
right.
go do it.
Yeah, sorry to skip your question, Sparky. Just this is kind of relevant. Whatever. Blech. Sorry. All right. Fuck. So question for Brian and Andrew: would you say that YIIK draws any sort of inspiration from, in terms of story, from Mega Man Legends, and what other games have inspired your writing of the story, basically?
Well, Mega Man Legends, the narrative doesn't have any influence. The visuals definitely do. But in terms of like game stories, like Metal Gear Solid 2, like I'd say that's probably the most obvious one.
Say it.
And then
Closer.
like I don't know, like The Last Express or something like that. There's not a lot of
Oh,
not
I
really drawing
remember
so
you
much for
mentioning
games, more
Bioshock
movies and
Infinite.
books. Oh yeah, Bioshock Infinite. That's true. Yeah. Bioshock Infinite. I would say that came out like around the time that we were starting to develop Y2K actually. So, and actually, someone who worked on Bioshock Infinite, one of the writers, because there's multiple writers who worked on that game, she came and played Y2K at PAX East, and it was cool to sort of get her feedback on it. I wish I could remember her name off the top of my head though.
It's funny to say, but I feel like Metal Gear Solid 2, Final Fantasy X, and then Link's Awakening are probably games that are always going to influence me as far as story goes.
Yeah, actually,
Yeah.
Final Fantasy X, especially with all the sort of like father resentment stuff, I think that is definitely a good example.
All right. Do you want me to bring someone in?
Yeah.
All right. This is I don't know how to pronounce this dude's name.
You can try. Try your best.
I have no clue. This guy.
YIIKcord.
YIIKcord.
Hey, what's up?
Welcome. Do you have a question?
Hell yeah.
Woo!
I can't hear your mic.
YIIKcord. This is
You're
a
on the
disaster.
show, but you don't know.
Damn.
TikTok.
Yeah.
Well, we can bring him back later.
Yeah, we'll bring you back when you fix it.
Yeah.
Dude, ring
So
on
just-
fucking Sneeze. Sneeze is invited. Do that shit.
All right.
Hold on. I'll click on it.
Just bring him in. Yeah.
Sneeze, what's up?
Oh, hey. So I
What's
wanted
up?
to ask Andrew Allanson, what's your favorite retcon from YIIK IV?
My favorite retcon was the reduced monologues.
Yeah,
That
when we
feature
took
was
the reduced
stupid.
monologue. Honestly, I really do maintain that there are no retcons. I really don't think. So it's hard. It's easy for me to say that because I knew what the game was saying. Like, and I wrote the original one, so like everything to me just seems like a continuation. And like because each idea follows from the original stuff, it doesn't feel. There's no retcon. You know, maybe your interpretation is no longer valid, but it's there is no retcon because I'm the Pope and I get to make the canon. So fuck you.
Okay.
But
Damn.
Andrew, aren't all interpretations valid?
No, they're not. Some are bad.
There are
A lot
wrong
of them are.
answers, and
There are
Andrew
wrong
knows which
answers,
ones
but-
are and aren't.
Yeah.
All right, I just wanted to say hi. Thanks, bye.
Hey,
Bye.
All right.
That was great.
YIIKcord is saying that they have their mic working now, so I'm gonna
Yes, get it back.
I've heard that one before.
Welcome back.
What's going on, YIIKord?
Hey,
Hey.
Didn't work.
classic prank.
It's a good bit.
Damn.
No, man.
Amazing.
All right. Well, you
Well,
can
that's
Someone else.
you can DM me your question and I'll get it in the rotation. But let me move someone else in. All right. Let's do Mogaku.
Oh, snap. That guy's cool.
Hello, Mogaku.
Hey,
Hello,
what's up?
hello.
Hey.
It feels a little dirty to bring back this topic from earlier, but like in relation to bold video game creative choices with mixed reception, what's your opinion regarding how in Pokemon Black you're not allowed to catch all Pokemon until after you've basically beaten the game?
I've
I
never
did not know
played
about that.
Pokemon Black. I didn't know that was a thing.
Ah,
I
I'm
gotta
going
be
to
real.
share my
Pokemon
opinion
Black
real
sounds
quick.
like
That
a
it's the
creepypasta game.
most based thing they ever
I
did.
agree. I think it's cool as shit. I'm so sick of always I always go with the same guys every run. I cannot stop myself from doing it. Like he works. Why could I not choose it? So forcing me to not do so is like, yeah, I agree. Also, like,
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, like in my reality, like there's only like Pokemon Red and Blue, so like I just don't like what's black, dude.
I stopped playing after Silver.
I just never
Cool.
played.
Well, thanks for the
I mean,
question.
it was just a like ulterior motive third ending question. It didn't really work out, so I guess I'm gonna leave now.
Yeah, I mean, you
Do
just
it.
have to fucking
Bye-bye.
ask the questions.
But
Goodbye.
they had a good reason.
Bye.
Dude, Concord, get Concord. Concord has a fucking third ending thing. Let's do that. I know
I can assume
Concord.
that they made an exception for Pikachu, right?
No, they didn't. They didn't actually make an exception for Pikachu. That's the most insane thing about it.
Wow. The confidence.
Hold on. I'm getting Concord up. I think Concord said that they had a question that I said about the third ending too, and you can do that.
Can you
I
hear
don't
me?
care.
Yeah.
Oh
Yes,
my
we
goodness.
can.
Okay, so first, Linguistic had a question that he wanted me to ask. Can I get that out before my questions?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so in the secret ending chats, there's these very silly people that waste our time having conspiratorial discussions on how you're a liar and every hint you give is like some conspiracy. Can you say something to get these people to shut up?
No.
That's true. He can't say anything that'll get those people to shut up.
Okay, I did
But
not
also my
word
bad.
it that way. I did not word it that way, but yeah. What's the other questions, man?
Okay, oh, for one, I have YIIK open right now,
I'm jealous.
so I'm wondering. So I heard a rumor on the interwebs that there's something to do with the red pill in KNN on Switch that you can do. Can I have a hint on what direction to vaguely go in here?
Oh, yeah. So if you seek the pattern and the chaos and go fuck yourself, that's the best place to start.
Damn, bro.
That's funny.
This is fucking
All right, so
awesome,
the other
man.
thing,
I like how people ask this
in
question like I don't have to
Essential
open up a
Mind-
complicated document to find out every
Yeah,
time.
as if this is something I haven't repressed. Come on. I'm dead to this part of my brain. You can't make me bring it back.
Okay. Is there okay, so the other thing is there's this weird girl in a cage in the Ascension Mine dungeon that you can see if you do a thing. I was just wondering what her deal is.
Should I
Like, some
actually
people
answer
think
this
she's
one?
Liana, but I'm curious about that.
There's... People don't realize that they've seen this model before, apparently. Or some people might have seen this model before.
It's a good question. I don't know why they don't realize it.
I wasn't hiding it.
I mean, we know it's Liana, probably. I don't know. Also, are her like things below her dress shoes or footprints? This is very important. Just trust me.
The things below her dress, are they... What's below her? It sounds like a riddle.
Are
What's
they
below her
shoes
dress? I
or
don't know what this
footprints?
means.
Is it her legs?
Probably. I think it's just a normal model, isn't it?
I don't think it's weird.
Okay, so the discourse on that will never end. This is very sad. I will go now.
I don't know
I
what
don't
the
know.
discourse
I need
is.
to know, like,
I
the
understand
size or
the
something.
I would put this to rest.
Valiant effort.
Bye.
All right, let
See
me.
ya, bro.
I'm just gonna say this for everyone. You can see this model in the game. and you
Yeah.
don't have to do anything really weird to do it, and it'll be in a different room when you see it, and you might want to pick a different choice when you start the game up, or I guess it's not the start of the game anymore.
I just gotta say, I'm drinking a little bit, and this is so fucking funny. This is so funny. I'm having a good time.
I'm glad to hear that linguistic.
Those are good
Andrew,
answers.
do you
I
want to
also
hear?
appreciate that Botzim is basically the only sober one at the wheel here.
This is why I trust
Damn, am
Botzim.
I?
It didn't occur to me I
I'm
could be
sober.
drinking right now.
Do you want me to start drinking or no?
Nope, please don't. I need
Nope.
I need a responsible being at the helm.
I'll be the dedicated driver for all of
All
you
right,
right now.
all right. I'll play designated driver. So speaking of which, I have YIIKord's question right here in written
Oh, let's hear it.
form.
Oh,
Why are you
awesome.
still calling them that? That's not their name.
No, I think
don't-
that's their name.
I don't know how to say it. I'm so
I
sorry.
think that's right.
There's a guy with like a Shrek profile picture who I just can't pronounce his name, so his name is literally just guy with Shrek profile picture in my document. Anyway, question from YIIKord. So they wanted to ask about the two different designs for Sorel. What went into the design choices and what the different looks represent within the narrative? Thank you.
Sorry, can you repeat that?
So they want to ask about the two different designs for Sorel. What went
Okay.
into them, choice wise, and what they represent within the narrative.
Well, the earliest idea, I was like trying to think of like character types that you don't see in games like ever, and I was like thinking about like older movies, and I was thinking about The Sound of Music, and Maria von Trapp, who's like this like nun in training who like, I don't know if you guys have seen The Sound of Music, but then that got me thinking of Mary Poppins. So like the original idea for Surreal was that she was this character who was sort of like a Mary Poppins type, and that her sort of alter ego was like a magical girl kind of thing, because this relates to, you know, the sort of like Kasagi X influence over the narrative. So like I asked Brian to create two different versions of the character, one that was sort of more like Mary Poppins or The Sound of Music, and then one that felt like a sort of like magical girl character. So he produced those two different designs. And Brian, I don't know if you have anything else you want to say about how you came up with them, or if you remember.
I'm not sure if I specifically remember. Honestly, like I don't have a specific thing. I just absorb a lot of, you know, game art in general, and then, you know, run that through the machine in my head, and then eventually I come up with an idea. So, and it looks nothing like what I was looking at. Tale as old as time.
All right. Okay. Let's see here. Do you want me to bring in Supplement?
Oh yeah, Salty's cool. Bring him in.
Bring him in. You've been invited up on stage.
Oh
Welcome,
no, not
Supplement.
that guy.
Hey.
Hey, what's up?
Oh, ultimate jump scare.
That's me. Hi. I think the question that I came up with this time was, I think one of the things that stuck with me is because I think after my initial playthrough, because my first playthrough was 1.25, I sort of came out of the story with the idea of like, hey, Alex is a person that you should do everything in your power to not be like. And especially with the time of my life that I was in, it's like in like that exact point of like coming out of college and trying to find purpose. Um, but then it's like when I come into Y2K 2, and now it's it showed during the concepts of like original sin. It's like the first sin was comparison, and then I thought to myself, it's like, hey, like, was my initial like idea of trying to compare myself to Alex, even if it was for the attempt of trying to better myself, was that like a negative way to go about self betterment?
It's an interesting question. I don't think that actually is the case. So I think that if you are, the whole idea of comparison is basically like the root of envy. You know, to compare, like we have to make value judgments all day long. Like I just got up from my chair to walk around and I made a value judgment from my back. I was comparing the state of being hunched over at a computer to, actually practicing good posture for while I answer this question. So like comparing two things is not a misuse of comparison. So like, like when, the sort of pun of original sin, it's like a play on the idea of like original sin as like the sort of like concept from like the Bible. But it's a pun of like this idea of like a new version of an old evil. So like a sin is this idea of misusing something. So it's like you aim for a good, but you distort the good for your own enjoyment, even if it's something that you lie to yourself that you're not actually trying to obtain. So like to compare two things is not a misuse of the ability to compare and contrast. But when you attempt to live within the reality that you perceived as being better than the one you actually have, there's a temptation there to do something awful, which is to live in a fantasy. But there's a good version of comparison, which is where you imagine a better future and you work towards it. Like this is the case for like if you're hungry, you imagine a future of going to the fridge and opening up food and feeding yourself. So that's the proper use of it. But the original and creative version that no one had ever done before was looking at the world, and instead of seeing the potential in it, you invented something with the raw materials that wasn't possible. And then you existed in a state of being bitter about that fact to the point of disassembling reality around you. So because comparing yourself to Alex doesn't actually require you to deny reality, I don't think that would be an example of engaging in comparison as the game presents it.
Because I think it was also, it's like, especially when coming into the ending of Y2K2, where it's like, hey, the idea of like, it's not just about bettering yourself, it's about helping to better others around you, especially those that are struggling. And then it made me wonder, it's like, okay, well now if like the priority of my mind is seeing this person and seeing other people who like in my life at that time who were like like going through like a bad spot and then treating me negatively as a result, is like, did I make the wrong choice with choosing to only better myself and to not put forward continuous energy into helping them, you know?
Well, where do you fall on that question right now yourself? How are you currently
Um,
judging your actions?
I think it's like I typically fall back on like, hey, it was to the point where I was spending a lot of my time trying to help better those who at the and like, for all I know, it was just at the time. I'm not exactly in contact with them much anymore. But it's like, hey, they like just continuously not accepting any form of help. And then it's like, okay, well, there's nothing I can do here. And I need to focus on trying to advance my own life into some path.
Yeah, you can't be your friend's therapist all the time. That's exhausting.
Yeah, exactly.
But
Yeah,
also, sorry, I'm sorry, I have to cut in now because I'm out of time. How long was this thing gonna go? Because I really have to leave.
I don't know. But
Okay,
thank you
fair
for
enough.
joining
Well,
us for the first
this has
hour.
been a
I really
pleasure. I
appreciate
would
having
stick
you here.
around. I would stick around if I could, but I have to release a video tomorrow, so I actually
the
have to work.
salty min portion is going to go at least 30 more minutes. So you might as well get it out.
Well, good luck with editing, Clue.
I appreciate it. Thank you very much for inviting me. This has been a pleasure. I wish I could stay longer. I'll see you all around, okay?
Have a great
See you
night.
around.
Bye.
My DMs are open. Goodbye.
See you later. Well, I guess the one thing I'll just say to sort of wrap this up is the only thing you can really do for most people is to live by example. And then if it invites people to ask you how you are succeeding in the way you are, and then you can give advice. Ultimately, you can't live your life for other people. You can only invite them into being a better person. And it's all about continually giving that space for them to try to be better, and to never doing anything that creates a roadblock between you and between them and improvement. Some people get really frustrated when they see their friends messing up over and over again, that they take their frustration out on their friend by declaring to them that they're never going to be any better and they're never going to change. That doesn't work. That's
No.
basically like what happens to Alex.
Mhm.
So I think that the correct answer in this situation is to just live by example and to continually be available to explain how you are living your life well, rather than attempting to live someone else's life well for them.
Yeah, I think that's well put.
All right.
Okay, BotZim, get us somebody else.
What?
Yeah,
All right.
Justin.
Tossing me aside.
Have a good
Fuck you,
day,
Salty
Salty Man.
Salty Man.
No.
We'll miss you.
Any text questions?
Well, first I wanted to do a question from Justin. Justin, you there?
Unmute, Justin.
Yeah, I'm here. Hello.
Hey.
Hello,
We got a
Justin.
text question next, but what
How we
is your
doing?
question in the meantime?
I have 2 questions. Is that okay?
Sure.
This isn't one of the questions.
Okay.
Okay. So I have a profound question and a really simple question. So I figured, which one do you want first?
Simple first.
Okay. What's your favorite song from the game?
The Interior Castle, which is the first song that plays in Y2K2, is the favorite one in the game that I didn't write myself. And then my favorite one that I worked on is Let's Kiss Like Dreamers.
Awesome.
Yeah, I think that's my favorite as well. Let's Kiss Like Dreamers. It's good.
All right. Now the profound one. So clearly you put a lot of time and effort into this game, your messages, your storytelling. You have a lot to tell people, a lot to share. But I want to ask, out of everything that the game presents to the player, what would you want the average person to get out of Y2K? What's the strongest message you want to leave them with?
Yeah, reality is beautiful, and suffering is beautiful if you can see it, and that if you start by forgiving reality for what it is rather than what you'd prefer it would be, you enter into a relationship with seeing the world and suffering for what it really is. And if you have a problem in life, that's probably the best place to start. It might not be the source of your problem, but engaging with that aspect of sort of question of life will improve everything else around you. So I would say that. I mean, that's the complicated answer. I mean, there are simpler messages that I think are equal to it in the game, but I think ultimately, that's the main theme.
Thank you. Yeah, that's awesome. It's definitely one of the things that I picked up on. And I get really quick before I go, can I get a shout out to my game club? I'm gonna force them to play Y2K in a couple months.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, shout out to them. Oh yeah.
Thank you so much.
All right. Shout outs to the game club. I got a quick question before I go into this written one. What is everyone's favorite color in this VC?
I like purple.
I go back and forth on red and blue, but I'm not sure.
I'm in my dark green era right now.
I'm a big fan of grays.
Gray's underrated, probably because it's not a color, but
Well, it's just like even
Wow,
like
that's dumb.
you take a color and you make it grayer. Love it.
True.
Cool. Okay, so we got 13 people with their hands raised. Let's try and do a bunch back to back.
Yeah. I do
That
have
question first.
well, I got something from Sparky first.
Cool, go for it.
2 things. These are for both of you guys. I'm gonna start with the simple one first because I'm still trying to figure out the first one. So what is your guys' favorite in-joke within just the general YIIKcord fandom space?
Huh.
I don't think I have one. I'm sorry. I know that's not super fun answer, but I don't think anything is coming to mind right now.
I like that dancing
Road Cat?
Alex gif.
Yeah, the dancing Alex gif. Yeah, that's.
I think one of my favorites will always be Alex YIIK in the real world's video where it's just every time a character says come.
No, my babies, no.
Man. And I'm trying to figure out this first question. It's like weirdly worded. I'm sorry if I
Want to
Hit us
read
with
it
it.
verbatim, and I'll just
I'm-
answer it as I want to interpret it.
Yeah, I'm just gonna read it verbatim. So it is, quote, is the original idea for Y2K2 gotta be used in any form of the word, like in a potential sequel in the far future?
Oh, okay, so I think they're talking about Onism 1969, the original idea we had for a Y2K sequel around the time that we finished making 1.0. No, I don't think so. I mean, I think that like everything like that we wanted to say in it, we've said. You know, like there are like little plot beats that were kind of cool. Like we had like a sort of like a John Lennon Paul McCartney type duo who were basically like they find like a sort of like hole to the soul space and they're sending their music to it, and there's like a Charles Manson like guy who listens to their music and thinks he needs to start a cult about the soul space. And like he would be going back and forth between playing as like these guys who are kind of like the Beatles, this guy who's kind of like Richard Dawkins, this guy who's kind of like Charles Manson, and Amelia. So like there was this idea of like these like four storylines you alternated, but like you know I don't really feel the need to like constantly go back to like ideas that we had. Like I have so many better ideas that like if I were to tell you like an idea of like a different game and asked you which one to make, I promise you would say make the game we're making now and not that one.
All right.
Because I've actually tried this and everyone says make the new one.
He says that he is intrigued in chat, so let's go.
Heck yeah.
All right.
Dr. Doom.
Next up, we got Dr. Doom. Let's unserver meet him.
Hello.
Welcome.
Hey.
Hi. I think you almost answered the questions I was about to say, but I'm going to ask anyway. When you guys originally made YIIK, it is a bit of an overstatement to say that it was not very much well received, and there was a lot of discourse about there's like potential there, but they should probably make something else. So my question is, what gave you guys the resolve to not only like continue with it, but to go above and beyond? Like, what gave you guys the energy and like we can actually like do this? That's my question.
I don't know. That's a good question. I wish I could answer it in like a succinct way, but like Brian and I have a really good dynamic of getting each other excited by like one of us says something and the other one says something that inspires something. You know, we go back and forth. So I think it's that dynamic that we've shared that ultimately was like the catalyst for allowing us to go above and beyond. And the fact that like we are constantly, you know, pitching to each other, that I think propelled us to the end.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, Brian, what do you think?
Yeah, that's complicated. I don't know.
I mean, like it definitely didn't. There definitely were times where it felt like a bad idea.
Right.
Where I was like, "What are we doing?
There were
This
times
is
where it felt like
crazy."
a bad idea. There were times where it felt like the payoff would be worth it. I think we were right.
Yeah, we were definitely right.
Say so. I
So,
would absolutely say so.
I think the fact that we had fans and people who did like the game, I think that helped. Like, if no one cared, like, why do it? You know?
Yeah, I mean, because like even though the audience who was talking to us about their love for it wasn't massive or anything, there were still enough people who were interested in it that it felt like we had an audience to do this exciting thing for, and we had a sort of like faith in the future that if we built it, the fandom would increase, and it did. Like the game continued to actually sell better and better as the development of IV went on.
Oh,
Like
wow,
the more we
really?
did, yeah, like the more we did streams, and like the more, like especially after 1.25, like with like Oni Plays doing their Let's Play, like there was like a nice sales bump, and then and then like IV actually did pretty well for us. So like at IV, the sales were pretty great. So like we're in a good place, and the risk was worth it. So
That is
like,
fantastic to hear.
don't let your dreams be dreams. Just do it.
It's so true. I just want to say thank you to everybody who is listening, and to you two especially. But
Thank you.
more specifically, Brian, because Brian, you may not recognize me, but I texted you on Twitter as Dead Heat Doom. I'm making my own game, and you made some models for me,
Ooh.
and they look fantastic. I just
Oh
want to
yes,
say
that's right.
thank you so much.
Oh, you're
Post
welcome.
post your progress in game dev, and we will, or at least I will, take a look at it.
Okay, thank you.
Well, at least Botzim will say that he's going to look at it.
I'll look at it. I'll look
We'll get
at
to it after Y2K2 Benevolent Psychosis.
Okay. All right.
The next guy we got Munadu. Munadu's a silly guy.
Hey.
They have a, what did they say? A big brain question, I think is what they said. So I want to hear
Cool.
Oh,
Brian can
What's
answer
up,
this one. He's got the
Munadu?
big brain.
Let's get you unmuted. All right.
Maniacal laughter.
All right, my question for you, Andrew. What is your opinion on the third ending?
That's not a good question.
I don't have an opinion. I don't care.
Damn, got destroyed. All right. Okay, so the real reason I wanted to talk was because I wanted to ask, do you plan on ever adding any quality of life features to the IV update? Because one thing I noticed on repeat playthroughs is, while I do listen to the monologues, I've gone through them multiple times, and sometimes it can be a drag to try to just spam the skip button through it if I'm trying to like look at a specific part.
I mean, the skip button is the quality of life feature, and so is IV is the quality of life feature. I don't know.
No, I'm not talking about during the cutscenes. I'm talking during like the monologues where text.
You mean like spamming A?
If I didn't think that I was gonna break the game by adding that feature, I would have added it.
All right, fair enough.
Yeah, because some stuff changes in the code as you go through it.
Yeah, I think
Sorry,
fair enough.
sorry, probably
5
not going to
is
do that.
Yeah, no, don't
basically
worry about it.
definitive edition, right?
Yeah. I mean, the only one that's getting another update is the PlayStation 5 version. That's like the last one. That's
Point
gonna get.
remakes it in the future, they can fix it.
Yeah, when we sell the rights to Y2K to EA and they remake the game, when Bluepoint remakes Y2K, they can add that.
Dude, YIIK with ray tracing though.
Damn, that'd be really good.
Everyone has hyper realistic teeth.
I hope they make every model really smooth.
No.
They just need to increase the polygon count to the point where
are
it's
bothered by that.
That'd be cool.
The individual teeth.
Yeah, because like it's so obviously just something goofy.
Yes, and I
And
love
people
it.
are like so bothered by it. They're like, oh,
I
it's
didn't
gross. And it's
realize
like,
it was gonna upset so many people when I did that.
No, I just saw Michael with realistic teeth.
Dude.
World's biggest Y2K lover. That was hilarious. I don't know why that got me so hard.
I like that question though, because I mean, like, like IV is like the definitive version, and I mean, there's definitely like more you could do to it, but like, how much of like longer do you want to work on the fucking game? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's also fair. Oh no.
I mean, we already got a big sales bump. I don't know if we can do it twice. I don't know if we can pull off such magic a second time.
Yeah, not gonna lie. I feel like I kind of bumbled my second question there because I wanted to talk about more than just mashing A.
You want to talk more about quality of life stuff?
Yeah,
I don't blame you if I didn't have to press A either.
We're not doing more quality of life stuff. So
that's
even if you
fair.
gave us the most beautiful list of stuff that we were like, yeah, we want to do it, we just don't have time.
If I didn't do it, there's probably a bug I'm afraid of.
Yeah, no, honestly, given how Y2K set up, and I love the game, don't get me wrong, but I feel like that game, if you try to fuck with it, it could really break.
Mundo.
Okay.
I actually have a solution for you. There's this dev mode thing. It's a secret code that you could put in behind the tree. It gives you a speed up button, and that speed up button helps the monologues go through quicker.
Yeah, which tree? There are 50 gazillion trees
It's
in
the
this
one in
game.
front
The
of
one by
Alex.
Alex's house.
I'm gonna fact. All right, I just got
I
done.
think if it's not pinned in the YIIK discussion channel here, we'll get it put back up on there.
That's a good point because that actually would.
Oh, I
think
had-
there's some risk because it can sometimes cause the game to like soft lock on you if you're not careful. But
Oh, damn, I had no idea that was a thing. If I did, I wouldn't have even asked.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Well, now,
completely
how
forgot
fortuitous.
about it until right now. I was like, oh yeah, there is kind of an option.
Public
Shit.
service announcement.
Yeah, literally.
All right.
Okay.
Well,
Thanks for the
Thanks,
question.
Mudu.
Let's try and
Thank
get
you,
through
Mudu.
some because I probably should get out of here around 8:45.
All right.
Yeah. I want Frail. Bought Zim. Frail. We gotta do Frail's bit. He's been
Okay.
bitching all the time.
Let's do Frail, and then I got a question from Redmond I'm going to do. So let's bring him in.
Oh, yeah, those are good.
Hello.
Yo, how many
Frail
questions
Bard.
can I ask, bro? So
Well,
I
go
got
fast.
William. Oh, just go fast?
Go fast.
Fuck.
Go fast.
All right, bro. Is there any way to open the heart door in Bella's Mind Dungeon? That's number one.
No comment.
Damn. All right. Question 2 is where, bro? I hate this. This isn't my questions for William, bro. Sorry. Where can we find the aviators? Where can we find the aviators? No question mark. Well, I don't know what that means, but
I think
don't
William's
know.
picking good
I don't know.
questions.
I don't care. I don't care.
Okay,
I don't know the
all right.
location of many items in the game anymore.
All right, last question. And you know, obviously there's still a lot of secrets hidden within Onism because I read that bitch like all the time and I like find crazy connections and shit. What is a secret hidden within Onism that you haven't seen anyone notice, bro?
There's still a reading of Onism that no one has figured out yet. That once you do, I think it'll unlock a layer to the story that will provide a lot more insight on how to do some things in the game. So, you know, try and think outside
you give
the
us
box.
like
I mean, there's clues in the game on Onism. That's really all I can say about it. I don't like, you know, you make these things to be interesting and then like talking about it's like I understand why people want to just like, oh, just tell us how to do this thing. And
I'm not even
care,
talking about third ending, dude.
but maybe I am.
Oh, my bad.
The thing is, there's a like I understand the desire to complete things and to like know every secret about a game. And I understand that it can seem like cruel or stupid for developers to not just like divulge guides on everything. But like when you're creating a work of art, there is a certain amount of it that is for yourself. And you can kind of ruin your relationship to the art if you take all of its clothes off and show it naked to people. And like this has nothing to do with desiring that people go crazy looking for all the secrets or wanting people to keep talking about it. It has more to do with the fact that it's really difficult to make a game, and it's really difficult to make a work of art like this, that if you don't keep certain things to yourself, you can spoil it, and you can have sort of ruined a lot of time you've put into something. So like ultimately, like that's kind of like why like there's certain questions we don't answer, because like the point of it is to have enjoyed making it,
like,
and you can ruin it for
it's
yourself
also
in
kind of
retrospect.
the point of art in general is like you're there to be a bit of an interpreter. You're supposed to try to figure out what's going on. And if somebody's just telling you everything, it kind of ruins the point of even making it art anyways. Otherwise, you could just go on a soapbox and be a politician, you know?
Right.
All right.
I feel like I was feeling a similar sentiment too, Frail. I feel like I was like thinking about asking someone like that as well, because I find the text of Onism to be pretty underrated. all things considered, and just kind of like not talked about. Like in general, like I was just thinking about what parts of the game are just not talked about. Period. Actually, if I could ask that as a question, what part of like 1.5 do you think is not really talked about or is completely overlooked in discussion? Would you say?
Well, I mean, definitely Onism. I think even the scribes of Oni Sim are also
Yeah.
kind of they're not necessarily like discussed in detail. I think that
Absolutely.
the Mind Dungeon dialogue with the Carta, there's more going on there than it just being flavor text. Like, there's really not just flavor text in Y2K. Like, everything is pointing to something. Like, it's just kind of like the design of the game is that every
Even
element
the
points to
NPCs.
even the NPCs. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Like, I know I pointed it out in one of my videos, but there's a lot of NPC dialogue that's really interesting if you think about the story of the game and like certain implications. There's like a lot of it is subtle, where it's sort of like repetition in order to kind of like breed an idea, but then there's others that are like completely new stories that you really haven't thought about, or people haven't really thought about.
Yeah, I agree with that. Okay, next question.
All right.
Yeah, let's rapid fire some buds.
All right. I got a couple questions. Do you want to keep Frail in here or?
Frail can stay, I don't care.
Yeah, let's chill.
Go,
Yeah,
go,
that's
go.
fine. All right. How old is Threatening Fan or the other Williamites?
They don't have canonical ages.
All right. I'm gonna skip over the other question Redmond had because you answered it earlier. Is about like what's coming up with YIIK, basically. Anyway,
All right, what's the actual question?
what's it called? Next question: would Michael offer Alex a joint, and if so, would Alex accept?
I love this
No,
question.
Michael is not a weed enjoyer, but Alex would accept.
Do you think Alex is happy?
No, I don't think so.
Are we ever getting a one-shot OVA yet? One-shot YIIK OVA? Ugh.
Maybe.
That'd be cool.
Possibly. We've talked about it.
I'm trying to get through like a bunch of like these questions I just rapid fire that I have written
Yeah,
down.
keep going, keep going.
Yeah, keep going.
Why does the factory hotel vacancy sign turn green so late into the game instead of when Sammy disappears?
Very good question. I have nothing to say about that.
Nothing to say.
Read
on
on
it.
them. Read on them.
Let's see here. All these are like crazy detailed. What's it called? I know Tadsy, he has some speedrunning questions, so I'm gonna move him in. All right.
Sup, Tadsy?
Yep.
Speedrun just
Redonism is so funny though, because I've been saying that since like 2020
bro.
when I first played the game.
I'll just wait till the floor is mine. Is the floor mine?
I was just trying to vamp while
Okay,
fucking
cool.
Zim was looking for questions.
I have a few technical questions that are probably more oriented toward Brian, but I'll ask them away. First of all, I've played this game I think like 10 times already, and I've done like 5 speed runs of the debugger ending. I want to ask, there were 3 new of the new cutscenes added. 3 of them are unskippable. 2 of them being the first 2 cutscenes where Michael punches Alex, and then the third one is the revamped one where Panda tells him he fucked up. Why are those unskippable?
I believe Michael punching Alex was implemented in a slightly different way that it never got counted as an official cutscene that was skippable.
Yeah, that's what I thought, because I know due to like
what
really
was the last one that you said?
The revamped one, the first epilogue cutscene where Panda tells Alex he fucked up.
Do you click through that cutscene still?
Yeah, that's a good question.
No. You watch that. You can't skip it. You can't mash through.
Yeah.
You can't.
Maybe it fell through the cracks. I can't imagine that there was a bug that would have been caused by skipping.
It seems to be kind of similar to like the one where the last Panda cutscene, where it seems to not be the same format, but that was just like I was just like wondering that because if it's possible to make those skippable, that would be great because that's like about like 3 minutes of downtime.
There are a few that were unskippable that were made unskippable because they caused a bug. I don't
Cool.
remember if they were among them.
Okay, cool. Yeah. I have also another quick question. So do you know why the JP text is instant?
What do you mean by instant?
Japanese.
Instant.
Oh,
yeah, as it is instantly appears on screen.
Because of the poor way that I had implemented the characters, when it typed out, it caused a performance issue if I typed it out. I probably could fix it.
Don't fix it. Don't fix it. Don't fix it. It saves like 20 minutes in the speedrun. Don't fix it. Don't fix it. I'm dead serious. Don't fix it. I swear.
Yo.
Keep it down. Don't fix it.
He's trying to keep that gamer score, bro.
Maybe fix the Japanese keyboard though. That shit is janky as hell. Your coding is really good. I can't break your game. But please fix the keyboard.
I do agree that the keyboard could use some work.
Yeah. Actually, that does lead into my next question. I've seen from like other people because I'm still fairly new to the inner community, even though I've known the game for quite a while. If I ever like come to you about like a thing like, hey, I found this really cool skip that's like really out of the way to like do it, like no casual will bump into this. Can you make sure you don't like patch this out next thing, you know? Because like that was something else I was worried about.
Tell me about it.
Okay.
Well, also, like we're really not patching the game.
Yeah, we're
like
not looking to patch it unless there's a really critical issue, especially on consoles. But
yeah, so like the last one that's going to get a patch is so like the PS5 is going to get a patch, and then Steam is probably going to get a patch for cloud saves. Like that's pretty much like the last two things we're going to do.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Another question I
that
had.
makes sense. You're trying to keep a bug in the game.
Last one.
Oh, last
yeah,
one.
make it your best one because we're gonna have to move on.
Okay, best one. Okay, then I'll guess I'll do a straight shot for the third anyone. Did you make sure Keiko Fukuichi kept the onism cipher in the JP version?
Everything that needs to be in the Japanese version of the game is in there.
All right, baller. Thank you.
That's a good question, actually. I want to do 2 more voice questions, and that's it. Does that sound good?
Yeah.
Okay.
Choose who gets on for the voice.
Yeah, let's pick your boys. Pick your boys.
I really want Yotsu or Seal. What do you want, Phil?
I chose Yotsu.
Okay.
Yo, what's up? Okay, so I've already gotten the third inning in Y2K. I'm actually trying to get the third inning now in Y2K2. So I'm pretty close to doing that. Yeah, I guess my question then would be, what's the biggest challenge and the biggest benefit of you two brothers working together on games since you've known each other so long?
Well, we're very unlikely to break up as a team.
Yeah, that's true. We're not allowed to. We can't do it.
Right.
Against the
So that's probably the biggest challenge. No, I'm just kidding.
That would upset the rest of our family greatly, probably.
Yeah. So that's probably a good thing. Another benefit is I can trust Brian's taste. If Brian says that something is like the right choice for something, even if I don't understand it, which is very rare, I know that it'll be fine to just defer to whatever it is that he thinks is the right call on something. Because I know that Brian only likes good stuff because I've known Brian literally my whole life.
Yeah, I mean, I feel the same way. I think Andrew's got great taste and great talent. So, lucky me.
Sweet. Okay. Yeah, that's all I really had. Congrats on the games, guys.
All right.
Thanks.
Very
nice. Y'all want Seal as the finale?
I got a quick question from Cobb, actually.
All right.
Cool.
There's been a lot of talk about alchemy symbolism in the game. Is there something that specifically inspired this?
There's a couple books that I really like. The Chemical Wedding of Christian Rosenkreutz, specifically the John Crowley translation. I think that is the only. I think that's the best book on alchemy. Like it's a narrative, It's probably the source of a lot of like alchemical legends. It's a very old book. The book Meditations on the Tarot, Valentin Tomberg, that book is like the most direct. Most alchemy books speak in code, but that book speaks in a very direct way, while also maintaining enough mystery that it doesn't feel like sterile. And then I like Red Book by Carl Jung. He gave himself a psychotic break so he could explore his unconscious, and he comes up with a bunch of alchemical formulations from that. So like he literally made himself crazy for our own entertainment, even though he called it scientific research.
That's relatable.
Yeah, it's kind of what making art is. So yeah, those three books I think were definitely inspirational. I mean, ultimately, alchemy is like probably. I mean, Carl Jung thought that alchemy was a sort of reaction to Europe losing its symbolism after the Reformation, and like a sort of like attempt of getting it back into the European culture, because he thought symbolism was like foundational to people's psychology. But there's a lot of interesting insights that came from people trying to talk about the world using like a new symbolic language when they were basically trying to talk around the existing symbolic language. So they have like cool analogs for things that people just sort of spoke about directly in the Middle Ages. So I think those three books are probably a good place to start. And you'll find out that Full Metal Alchemist is actually a lot more well researched than people probably assume it is when it comes to alchemy.
That's basically my alchemy research. I got Seal here. What's up, Seal? What's your question? One
Hello, what's
question,
up?
please.
Yes.
Hey.
First, I just want to say thank you for like everything you've done for this game. It like really means a lot to me. And that since I like the game has just been planted into my brain like a parasite, and thinking about it, I think about it so much that it just hurts my brain.
I'm happy to help.
Well, thank you.
But I don't know if this question is similar to ones asked before, but I was wondering if you have any advice on like if anyone kind of relates to Alex or has kind of similar patterns to his story and his past, and how to like kind of get out of that.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely have advice. I think if you're asking that question, you've already done something that Alex didn't really recognize, which was the existence of the pattern. So like he really can't see the pattern in the, like, okay. Let me answer this directly without just like using the game's language, because like I understand this is like kind of a serious question. If you are aware of the fact that you keep repeating the same stuff over and over again, and you keep falling into the same sort of like destructive behaviors, it's really good that you acknowledge that fact about yourself. It isn't, that's really difficult. You then need to sort of be realistic about the fact that it will take some time to change, and that change will feel a lot like a sacrifice. It'll feel a lot like you are giving up a piece of yourself. But I think that like ultimately the message of the game is that like people can return sort of like into like they can return into the in-group despite having made those sort of repeated mistakes over and over again. I really do believe that. So like I don't think anybody who is sort of in a sort of destructive pattern is doomed to be there forever. So it is important to know that like you actually can get out of that sort of cycle. And every time you find yourself making the same mistakes again, you actually should look at what happened before, what happened after, and then try and see what happened before the inciting event, and see if there are things linked to the pattern that you didn't realize. See if there are things that pull you into the same mistakes And then as you avoid them, you need to see the attempt to avoid these mistakes as a sacrifice towards your future, that you're giving up a sort of part of yourself that probably enjoys, I'm not going to speaking about you directly. So like there's probably, for most people who have the same repeated mistakes, there's a part of them that is addicted to, or either like because it's enjoyable or because of some sort of wound they have. They're addicted to that pattern and they just end up in it over and over again. So like you have to sort of realize that that's true about yourself. And if you can't admit that to yourself, it's kind of hard to take it apart.
Yeah, that's oh my god, that's like everything like I wanted to hear more. Like, thank you.
You're welcome. I hope that's useful.
Thank you.
All right.
All right.
Do we
That's
have
awesome.
time for anyone else, or are
No.
we?
Well,
we can do those written questions that you have real quick, Bodzim, and then we can end.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I just DM'd you a bunch, and then you can answer the ones that you
Okay,
want.
yeah, I can answer all these. Just read them back to back, and I'll knock them out.
All right. So Mala, that's not their full name, but whatever. Is the Ivy update canon to the world of YIIK? Is Ivy just like a new cycle from the previous version of the game since they're stuck in like a time loop? I hope that makes sense.
It is canon because you downloaded the game and you made a change to the pattern that was fixed in the version 1.0 and 1.25. The Holy Thief entered into the game through the update. And now the cycle only repeats if you start the game again.
All right. From DZ Haba, if you had unlimited money and time to work on YIIK, what would you do with it?
Nothing. It's done. It's good.
To work on a different game.
Yeah, I would
Work on a different
probably
game. Yeah.
From Darth Lego, I'd like to ask if there will be some new info of the card game, of the dark game in the card game, and what your inspirations were for the concepts of original wins/sins.
Yes, there will be new information about the dark game lore in the card game. That is part of the plan. As for the inspiration of the concept of original sins and original wins, so like there's this idea of a meta narrative, but I'm gonna just simplify it and say that it's like a frame. So like if I tell you to think about the world in a certain way, I've given you a frame to think about the world. Like if I tell you that all of your financial struggles are because your parents had it out for you, so they intentionally ruined the economy. I've given you a frame to interact with the world. So I was thinking about this idea of people creating frames or meta narratives and sort of loading them onto people and forcing people to think about the world the way they do. And I wanted to, I like the idea in the book of Genesis that like the first meta narrative is that you're destined to become like gods with knowledge of good and evil, and how that's like this pernicious narrative that's put onto people because it gives them this desire they can't actually fulfill. So like it was this idea that all meta narratives are a sort of repetition of that sin. They're like a variation on that theme. So that became this idea of new types of evil that people are doing to become immortal, with the idea that you become immortal by people repeating your notion. Like you sort of live on in this wound you create in people. And then the idea of the original win is basically the thing that's done to subvert the sort of patterns of the world. So like everybody it's basically a bunch of frames that you can get locked into. You can be a Democrat, a Republican, a progressive, a conservative, a rad trad. You can be like, there's all of these like meta narratives that you can sort of insert yourself into. And then you're no longer yourself. You're basically, you're basically a meme machine. You're the onism man. But when you experience an original win, and it's something that is only like localized to your experience, it cuts through that. So like this is this sort of idea of challenging the sort of meta narratives. So that's basically like what those ideas are playing with.
All right. From Pink the Cat, is Shoot Man a reference to the Strange Library?
There's a book earlier than the Strange Library from the Rat trilogy by Murakami that it's a reference to.
All right. From Serac 2016. Do you guys think the values, morals, and teachings that you show in Y2K are something that are okay to follow in real life? In other words, do you think seeing the self, the sun, and the holy thief is the proper way to live every day?
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, I mean, ultimately, yeah, but like these are video game lore designed to tell a specific story. So like there are like virtues that are encompassed in those philosophical ideas, but if you reduce them to the self, the son, and the holy thief, and you think of your life as like the lore of YIIK, you're kind of falling into a similar trap as Alex. But the general advice of the virtues that are being described with this idea of the self, the son, the holy thief, and the three vows, I think those are essentially where most people go wrong in their life. Like this idea of like, okay, so like it's hard to talk about the three vows in the context of real life because like they sound so medieval. Because once again, like this is like lore for a video game and a fantasy world. But ultimately, like there are certain passions that people have that become their undoing, and the game is pointing to the way that you escape those. So like yeah, like the high level philosophy that the game is discussing, yes, I think it's a good way to live your life. But I would just advise you not to call it the self, the son, and the holy thief, because that is video game lore. And it's okay as a place to get you to think about it, but don't don't be like a millennial telling people like that they're in Slytherin or that they're a Death Eater. Like, you are capable of more than that. I believe in you.
All right.
How many
Two
left,
more.
Tim?
We have two more.
Two.
Including
Is
the
that
one that.
okay?
Yeah, it's okay.
Quoting Concord, clearly, Third Ending Bros have been utterly BTFO. But do you have anything to say about the mysterious red book that Kasage keeps in the factory hotel? And anything to say about Ending 4?
Yeah, that is related to Deviation Perspective 3 and how there's like a interpretation in the game that if you use that book, you can sort of see a third deviation perspective in the story. It gives you like a hermeneutic to find a new story within the story.
So it's kind of like a metaphor almost?
Or a meta-narrative.
That's a better way of putting it.
I have one last question from a mystery man. Andrew and Brian, what is your question for us?
Are they going to answer?
What is it? Yeah, I mean, my question for you all would be, what do you hope to see in the next X Studios game?
That's a good question.
That's a great question.
Sex, drugs.
I agree.
Murder.
I would like to see a continuation of Brian's art style because I thought it was great in Y2K. And I feel like it's going to get even better.
Hooker.
The stuff Brian has is going to turn your brain into shit.
I want to see more stuff that I don't understand.
That too would also be nice.
Pink the Cat says, I hope to see cool themes, interesting camera angles, and even more ambitious animation. Yeah, that's all there.
I think
we got you covered.
That's the last one, Zim?
That is the last one.
Okay,
So
cool.
Good job, everybody.
Do you want to help me with inviting everyone to the stage so it can be just like a big noise?
Oh my goodness.
All right.
Oh yeah.
This is what the pattern of the chaos sounds like.
I love the sound effects. I love the sound effects. Keep making satisfying sound effects. Sound effects are really good.
Shout out
I love the
Hellkrai,
sound
shout out
effects.
Hellkrai.
The sound effects are so good.
Yes.
I'm a genius.
I am the true honest man. And you are what is brainlessly legal.
Chicken.
I am here to do you.
Where's Sean Madden? When we need him.
Sound effects are cool.
The honest man. You must hear my voice and spread my wings. Shut up.
Holy shit. Holy shit.
Okay, we're done. This team is.
No.
How's it going?
It's going good.
Absolute nightmare.
I'm glad my questions got answered. That was very nice.